Welcome to Easy Math TV. We're going to put all of our skills together into solving one problem as we wrap up this topic on patterns between two quantities, linear applications. So we're going to find the equilibrium between supply and demand when only data is given, not the equations. Let's read the problem. Question. At a price of $40, there is a demand for 573 items and a supply of 320 items. When the price is $80, demand is 453 and supply is 640. Assume supply and demand are both linear. Find the equilibrium price and quantity. So we need to break up our solution into three parts. Part one, we're going to make a graph to visualize what is going on in this problem and to decide what values of x, like what can we narrow things down? What prices are we actually looking for? Because there's a huge gap between 40 and 80, and maybe we have to go way past that, or maybe it's below that, or let's narrow it down. And then using existing spreadsheets, ones that we've already done before, we're going to find the equations for supply and demand. And then we're going to use those equations to find the equilibrium. So those two things are things we've done before in previous videos. So we've already saved those spreadsheets and we're just going to use them. Okay. So before we go too far here, I've created a table, and column A are my X's. Those are my prices in dollars. Column B are going to be the items in supply. Column C are going to be the items in demand. So I've covered that over because I want you to now copy this problem down. So you can pause the video, copy this problem down, and see if you can fill in the table in columns A, B, and C with the correct values. Now that you're back, let's see how our table looks. So this is our completed table. When X is 40, the quantity in supply is 320 and the quantity in demand is 573. They needed to be in row 3. When X was 80, the quantity in supply was 640 and the quantity in demand was 453. They also needed to be in the same row, in row 4. And then what I did was I selected each pair of values that you see above each other and filled down a couple more so that when we make the graph, we're going to see values of X between 40 and 160. And you're going to see how supply and demand actually go up and down with those values. So you should have a table just like this with like values of X from 40 to 160 and the values of supply in column B and the values of demand in column C. So I'm just going to highlight those, and I'm going to go to Insert and a scatter plot with smooth lines. I've already made one, so we're going to see it over here to the right, but basically that's what we create. And here's our scatter plot with smooth lines. I need to bring that to the front. Okay. So supply and demand need to look like this. If they don't look like this, forming an X, then you've done something wrong, and you need to go back and check to make sure that all of your values are in line with each other the way they need to be. Math is as much about being precise and, making sure that you have a good attention to detail as it is just kind of reasoning as well. So on our graph, we are we need this point right here where the two lines intersect. That is our equilibrium point. And if we look, that occurs somewhere between 60 and 80, and we can actually narrow things down even more, because if we look kind of halfway, this is where X would be 70. That's probably too far. So over here on my question text box, this is where I'm just going to type a note to myself, that equilibrium is likely to occur for X between 60 and 70. So that's giving me a heads up that I'm probably going to be focusing on X values between 60 and 70 when we get to that part of this problem solving process. So now that we know what values of X we're going to be focusing on, we can moving on to our next step, which is to find the equations. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in part 2.